So this video is the kickoff for our series about a vital part of the writing/critical thinking process, research.
I'm so glad to hear that because I was just given an assignment from my teacher at school that's going to require a lot of research.
Perfect. What's your topic?
Clowns.
I'm sorry, did you just say clowns?
Yes, I recently enrolled in circus school and this is my first major project.
Fair enough. Clowns. We can work with that. Let's talk about how to approach the research process for your paper about clowns. We can take some of the mystery out of research by breaking it down into a few steps. First, let's acknowledge that we don't start and finish our research in a single sitting. Researching a topic effectively means going a few rounds with it and refining your search as your ideas take shape.
Absolutely. I'm ready to do that for my research paper about clowns. So let's look at some tips that can help keep the process organized. Planning, searching, researching, and evaluating.
First comes planning. This is where we conduct a general search to learn about our topic. It doesn't need to be specific, and it doesn't need to directly relate to our essay's thesis. In fact, we probably won't even have a thesis at this point, just a subject to begin exploring, maybe with some sort of open question to guide us.
That's good to hear, because I definitely don't have a thesis for my clown project yet.
We can use different keywords when we search online publications or databases, but when we do, we want to avoid imagining what we expect or hope to find. This is a learning stage, which means it's about exploring what's out there rather than just looking for specific quotes or statistics to help us with particular points that we think we'll want to make in our essay. Check out these sample search questions. They're all pretty open, and they can probably be explored with the help of a regular internet search engine.
Okay, and I added an open question for my own essay at the bottom.
We move into the next step, searching, as we begin finding materials that might be useful later. We can keep track of interesting sources by bookmarking them in our browser, printing out the bibliographic info for articles that we discover, and essentially creating a research list.
There are several articles out there about the origin of clowns long before they became a standard part of the circus. For example, I learned from one history article that clowns have actually been around for thousands of years in service of kings and emperors in Europe and Africa who had court jesters or fools entertain them.
That sounds like a good start as you begin mapping out your territory. And remember, even some articles that may not seem relevant right away may end up being valuable later. And if we keep track of them, we'll avoid wasting unnecessary time later trying to track them down again.
True. My open question led me to other articles too. I found another one that talks about some famous clowns in history, and several of them are more scary than funny. For example, one of the more famous scary clowns was from the late 19th century opera Pagliacci. Definitely not one for the kids.
So as we find sources that help with those initial open questions, we'll probably find information that will lead to, that's right, more questions.
Better ones, though, that are more interesting and more specific. Teachers and librarians sometimes call this generating new lines of inquiry. It's when searching becomes researching.
Some of those questions may not only be relevant to the assignment, but help narrow down our actual topic.
And result in a stronger overall thesis for the paper itself.
Exactly. Check out our original sample search questions and see how a researcher's early findings can help focus and redirect each one to create a new cycle of research. This is how we start the next round, with a new, more specific bunch of questions. Research gets easier as we circle back to it, since we're getting to know what's out there about our topic and narrowing down our search parameters.
You forgot mine.
Oh, let's see it. That's a good question. This feels like it could lead somewhere pretty interesting.
I'm definitely getting more interested in this topic. There are several articles written by psychologists about clown fear that can help me get into my overall subject. One article, for example, told me that fear of clowns is actually called coulrophobia, and that a hospital in England once tried to cheer up kids in a children's ward by posting pictures of clowns in all the rooms, and the plan totally backfired. Most of the patients asked to have the pictures taken down. Experts say that there's a particularly intense kind of anxiety that takes place when innocent childhood images are changed, hence clown fear.
And of course, throughout the process, it'll be important to evaluate the sources we find. It's not too hard to separate credible source material from the less reliable stuff once you know what to look for. You can check out the video on evaluating sources for more on that.
I'm so going to get an A on this paper at circus school.
Remember to repeat the process as many times as necessary. Research isn't separate from your writing process. Ideally, researching and writing happen side by side, from early brainstorming to the final revision stage. You can do it in small increments of time and move back and forth between your researching and your writing. It's the best way to make sure that you end up using helpful, credible, persuasive source material in your own work.